Okay, we are going to start on chapter 12.3. In this unit, we are going to skip chapter 12.1. We are skipping over 12.2 because we'll do that tomorrow in class, because tomorrow we actually will not have computers in class. So outside of that, we're going to start out with 12.3, which for some of you should be more of a review. Today is packed with information that may not be mastered today, but again, you want to be understanding this. What you need to understand for this unit is that we are doing about one section per day until we get to Thursday and Friday. And then we're going to do one section a day. We're going to get a review day, and then I think our pre-test idea is kind of a waste at this point because I don't think that we're using that the way we should. So I'll probably give you an assignment for Thursday to bring things back to your mind, and then from there we'll take our test on next Friday. So this is a very quick unit, and you need to make sure that you are doing everything you need to do to keep up. I would assume that it's in some of your best interest to write down these four. You don't need to worry about target average, but I would write down these four definitions. That way you know what they mean, because again, we are not going over this stuff tomorrow or any other day. This is just something you're going to have to make sure you practice and get down. Mean, which is also average. That is also what to use for the word average, or the general word for average. You add everything up and you divide what you have by the total number of values that you have. So if there were 6 values there, you add them up and you divide by 6. If there were 10 values there, you add and you divide by 10. Again, most of you understand this already, which is why it's not that bad. Median is the middle number. We'll talk about that when we get to it. It is the middle number, which means put the numbers in order and then pick the number that's in the middle. The situation that arises out of that is that you end up with 2 middle numbers, and then we have to know what to do from there. Mode is the one that occurs the most. This is the one that you don't always have to have a mode. If no number repeats, then there is no mode. But other than that, you could have 2 numbers tie for first. That means you could have 2 modes. You could have 5 numbers tie for first, so you could have 5 modes. Mode is the trickiest one of all because it's the one where you sometimes don't know what to write. But again, the main thing is it has to repeat for mode. But you can have more than one. There could be none, there could be more than one. That's the main thing there that you need to understand. And then range is just finding out what your top and bottom value top and bottom values are, and then subtracting them, and that gives you the range of numbers that you're going to deal with. So does this data values, or this set of data values, cover a span of 100 values, 50 values, 6 values? It's important for us to understand how wide the information is. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is target average, which again we will discuss it, but it's going to take for you to understand some things before we get there, which is why we're starting the way that we are. The following values represent the number of collectible coins that 5 customers have. Find the mean, median, mode, and range of the values. This is what your test is going to ask you to do. It's what your Math Excel is going to ask you to do, and it's not that tough. You just have to make sure that you are organized in what you do. Mean, again, means I take all these numbers, 15 plus 23 plus 34 plus 2 plus 47, which is 121, divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers, equals 24.2. Now let me just tell you that when you take your test next week, don't just tell me the mean is 24.2. I want to see both of these numbers so I know where you got the numbers from. Again, some of you are getting stubborn. You're not doing what I'm asking you to do, and you're missing it. You're going to miss mean if I don't at least see this fraction. You don't have to show me that all those are being added up, but I need to see the total divided by whatever you're dividing by, which is what's there, to get that part. The median means I now have to take these and put them in order. So 2 is first, 15 second, 23, 34, 47. Those are my 5 numbers, and median being the middle means I match first to last, second to fourth. That would be my median. That is my middle number there. So the median there is 23. The mode, again, is the one that occurs the most. You cannot have a mode here because nothing repeats. Remember I told you that you could have no mode? Well, in this case, in order for there to be a mode, somebody has to be at least repeated twice. 2 happens once, 15 once, 23 once, 34 once, 47 once. In this case, there is no mode. The range is simply taking the highest minus the lowest, so 47 minus 2, which means my range would be that this covers a span of 45 total values, and that's all you have to do to find mean, median, mode, and range. Again, it's not that tough. You just got to make sure you are ready to do whatever is necessary to get those questions right. Same thing, following values represent the number of pounds lost during last year's exercise challenge. Find the mean, median, mode, range of the values. Again, to find the mean, the first thing I do is add everything up. So I will do 15 plus 28, 0, which I didn't need to type in, 28, 15, 36, which is 122, and I divide that by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I get the answer of 20.33. Again, typically if it goes past 2 digit or goes past 1 digit, we stop at 2. Just make sure you round appropriately, but that would be our mean. Our median is going to be different though, because we have an even number. So here zeros first, 15, 15, 28, 28, 36. So in this case we've got 0 going with 36, 15 going with 28, and notice there is no true middle. We've got 2 numbers in the middle. Now whenever you have 2 numbers in the middle, you take the average of those 2 numbers to find out what the actual median is. There can't be more than one median, so what you do is you actually take 15 and 28 and divide that total by 2. Again, some of you typed this in wrong. Make sure you hit equals after you type in 15 plus 28. So 15 plus 28 equals, divided by 2 equals, and it should make sense that 21.5 is in between those 2 numbers, but that would be your median. Alright, so again, whenever there are 2 numbers in the middle, whenever it's an even set of values, you go ahead and take the average, which means add and divide by 2 to find out what the true median is. In this case, mode is the one that occurs the most. Notice that there are 2 15s, also 2 28s. That's a tie for first. Both of those are your mode. And then when you're talking about your range, top minus bottom, which is 36 minus 0, is a range of 36 values, and that is all. Okay, so mean, median, mode, range, that covers the main 4 things that we're talking about, but there's one more thing that I had on there, which is your target average. In order to do target average, the first thing we have to do is understand what average really is. So let's look at this situation and just try to get an idea for how it works. If someone scores 9 points, 2 points, 8 points, and 1 point, what is their average scoring number? The question is, what does it actually represent? So what we're going to do is look at a visual representation of how average works. So for 9 points, I'm going to put 9 X's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those 9 X's represent 9 points. They also scored 2 points, so I put 2 X's. They also scored 8 points, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they also scored 1 point. Notice how all 4 of these games are just pretty much, they look different. They line up that way. So what we can do with these points is we can share them. So if we want to share from who has points and give them away to those who don't have points, I'm going to take away 1 point from here and put it down there. Notice how I crossed it off. I'm going to take off 1 point from here, put it down there, 1 point from there, put it there. 1 from here, put it there, 1 from here, put it there, and then in the end, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can take away from here and here. And you notice now, even though that didn't write it the right way, that everything has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points there. If we worked out the average on our calculator, it's 9 plus 2 plus 8 plus 1 equals, divided by 4, and you get the average of 5. That is what average represents. Alright? What average is saying is, if you were to assume that based off of what they scored right now, what would you assume they will score in the next game? Well, if they had another game and we don't know how many points they score, we can assume it's 5. And what can we assume for the next 3 games? That they're probably going to score 5 points in each one of those, because if they've averaged about 5, we can expect about 5. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to score 5, but it means that if that's their average, that's what we can assign to everything if that is their average. Alright, So again, in other words, average or mean represents the number that we can assign to every value in a data set. Consider the following situation where Tony averages 4 signatures over 7 days. They want to know how many signatures he got. So he averaged 4 signatures over 7 days. Here's our average, and here's the number of days he did it. So I'll just put 7 blanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If he averaged 4 signatures, I don't know how much he got in each one of these days, but I know that he averaged 4 over the 7 days, which means I can just put a 4 in each one of those days, because if that's his average, that should be the case. That gives me 4 times 7, which means he should have had 28 signatures overall. Again, when you have average, when you know what their average is, you can assign that number to everything that's there. Alright? And that is going to bring us to what we are going to close out with, which is a question that is something on your Math Excel that you have to work your way through to start. So what we have is a target mean problem. It talks about someone who got some scores on her math test. She'd like to average a 75%, and she wants to know what she has to get on her 5th test to reach her goal. Again, she wants to average 75. That is her target. And she is going to be taking another test. We don't know what that test is. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 tests that she already took, one that she hasn't taken yet. And so what we do here is we say to ourselves, there are going to be 5 tests. Again, 5 tests going there, and she wants to average a 75, which means if I want to find out, I can just put 75 in each of those spots. Because you want her average to be 75, each of those tests can just be assigned a 75. That gives me a total, which is just simply 75 times the number of tests, which is 5, which means that she needs to score a total of 375 points. In order to find out what she needs, I first off have to find out what everything else adds up to. So I do 81 plus 68 plus 71 plus 76 to find out that she's scored 296 points right now, and this is where she needs to be. So to do that last part, we simply do how much she needs minus how much she has to get the answer of 79 points is what she needs to score. Again, your first few Math Excel questions are going to walk you through this. If you want a 75 average, you can assign 75 to every blank. First part. Second part, use those to find the total number that she needs, add up the numbers that she's got to find out how much she has so far, and then subtract those 2 numbers to find out what she needs to make that average. Alright, so good luck on that stuff today as we get to it. Other than that, make sure you do this lesson credit where it's asking for the mean, median, mode, and range of those values, so I can give you some feedback on what you're doing and then go from there. Again, make sure you show work. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you that you need to show work, and other than that, like I said, go ahead and do that. Go to your Math Excel and let's begin getting going on this new unit. If you finish this stuff and you still haven't finished the last unit's work, you might want to go ahead and plan on doing that today too, instead of messing around, because if you are messing around after you finish today's work, I'm probably going to threaten to freeze your other scores so that you cannot change them. If you are not done with all of your Math Excel, I expect for you to be going backwards and emailing me everything that you change. Other than that, like I said, good luck. Go on to Math Excel and let's get going.